3A. Saving the Panda. July 9, 2005 was an important day at the Smithsonian National Zoological Park in Washington, D.C. The zoo had a new arrival that morning. Tai San, the first baby of Tian Tian and Mei Xiang, male and female giant pandas. Tai Shan's birth, like any pandas, was a cause for celebration. In the first 3 months that the cub was on public display following his birth, visits to the zoo increased by 50% over prior years. Around the world, conservation centers and zoos like the Smithsonian are working to ensure that pandas survive, whatever the cost. But what makes these animals so special? Aside from their cuteness, their scarcity makes them important. Giant pandas are extremely rare. Even other endangered animals, tigers, gorillas, Asian elephants, outnumber them, both in the wild and in captivity. Recently, China reported that about 1,590 of the black and white bears survive in the hills of Sichuan, Shanxi, and Guangsu provinces. In captivity, there are only about 200. Some are in the U.S., and a few others are in Mexico, Japan, Thailand, Germany, and Austria. Most captive pandas, though, are in zoos and research centers in their native China. Their shortage makes pandas precious, but caring for them isn't easy. The cost of hosting a giant panda at each zoo can exceed $2.5 million a year, and that's without babies. Add a couple of cubs, nearly half of all panda births produce twins, and the bill approaches $4 million. Of course, at any zoo, the arrival of a panda or the birth of cubs brings an increase in attendance, but the crowds rarely translate into sufficient revenue. Even with tickets and gift shop sales, no zoo has collected enough money to offset the costs of hosting one of these animals. Why is accommodating these bears so expensive? At most zoos, these animals get the best of everything: state-of-the-art habitats, the best doctors and keepers, the tastiest food, and a variety of toys to play with. In the U.S. alone, this level of care costs millions of dollars a year. Every year, each zoo also sends China $1 million for the protection of pandas and their remaining habitat. China uses these funds to create education programs for schools near protected areas and to restore the pandas' bamboo forests. Given the enormous cost of caring for these animals, what exactly are the benefits of raising pandas in captivity? For one thing, it has led to a number of successful births. In recent years, the captive panda population has increased dramatically. Record numbers of cubs have been born, with much better chances for survival rates. A decade ago, at the Hualong Nature Reserve in China, at least half the twins and many of the single cubs died as babies. Today, new care and feeding techniques have improved the chances for survival of captive pandas in zoos in China and around the globe. All those cubs have pushed the captive population closer to a magic number, 300. With that many pandas, says population biologist John Ballou, we can have a self-sustaining captive population and maintain 90% of known giant panda genetic variation for a century. With panda numbers now on the rise, China's goal is to release captive pandas into special nature reserves and to eventually boost the numbers of these animals in the wild. Scientists hesitate to do this just yet, though. As National Zoo biologist David Wilt says, there may be as many wild pandas out there now as the habitat can support. However, many pandas born in captivity are being trained to be more self-sufficient and not to rely on their human keepers. One day, we may be able to eliminate altogether the need to raise pandas in captivity. Though this hasn't happened yet, the work being done in China, the U.S., and other countries worldwide is helping to make the goal a reality, one panda at a time.